All right, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, we have been gone for a little bit, but now we are back in session, back in practice, and back in operation. We got Mac 285. Welcome, welcome to the program. We got Sheila Neal. Peace and blessings. Welcome to the program. We've been away for a minute. We had my daughter graduated from USC, University of Southern California, and went out there to her graduation and, had a very, very good time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Peace and blessings, Brother Willie Rivers. Great to see you, big bro. All right, we got Earth Angel in the house. Peace and blessings, Queen. Is glad to see you. Glad to see you. All right, everybody just rolling on in. Come on in and roll on in. Roll on in. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, that was a big thing, a big thing. I was very proud to see my girl graduating. She was down there where all of the graduates was, and she gave a black fist raise and, saying, Daddy, I made it. We're there. We are good. Yeah, Mr. Adolphe, we are back. We are back. We are back, rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Rocking and rolling.
They ain't take that they ain't take that black power fist as being for Palestine, did they?
No. I don't give a damn what they thought it was for. I knew what it meant. I knew what that bad boy meant. Yes. Peace and blessings, Brother Roy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Definitely. The family is rolling on in. Yes. Looks like we were well missed, Doc. Looks like we were well missed.
Yeah, and they were missed as well.
Most definitely. And so our topic tonight, we're talking about war without bloodshed, but it's just as bloody and deadly. Talking about that politics thing. We got peace and blessings, MD. Welcome to the program. We got Mayat in the house. Peace and blessings, Queen. Welcome. Welcome. Why you say Doc?
You got Earth Angel and Maya in here together.
Oh yeah. They are here. So when we're talking about politics and the bloody nature that comes with politics, Doc, history-wise, do you think that we as a people really have learned how American politics really actually work? Do you think we've learned anything?
No, we by and large, no, we don't. I mean, you have to think about our great warrior, Fred Hampton. When Fred Hampton said, politics is nothing but war without bloodshed. We're not looking at as if we're at war and approaching it from a standpoint of fighting these people 24/7, 365, because that's how they're fighting against us. When you really think about it, the idea of political science, the science of politics, which leads us to the science of war. Where are our political scientists? Where are our radical thinkers who are propagating these things that we need, what we need to do, how we need to do it, and what our agenda needs to be? I would venture to guess that if you were to take a poll amongst a million black folk, that we wouldn't have three issues that we all agree upon are our major issues. We'd be all over
Mhm.
the board, and a part of that comes from the fact that we haven't, and we've talked about this previously here, we haven't manufactured consent. Black folk need
Mhm.
to be looking at the world through the exact same lens. Now, we may process it differently, but we need to be looking at it through the same lens. And we need to understand that if we're looking at it through the same lens, we have to agree upon what the ultimate goals are, be it three or four ultimate goals. Failure to do that is indicative that of our people learning and thinking and viewing the world through the lens of individuals who are actually working against our best interest.
Mm. Now, Doc, I've heard this term plenty of times, and I think you've even said it a couple of times, that we need to operate like the Jews have operated.
Mhm.
Uh, Now, there's reparations going on, conversations in a whole lot of different cities. And I happened to watch a video from Moorish World TV, uh,
Uh-oh.
with Tahaka Bay. And,
Mhm.
I put in the comments, I was like, well, Grand Sheik, you're wrong on this one, because he was
Mhm.
saying, y'all talking reparations and you're starting in California, you
Mhm.
shouldn't start there. You're doing this wrong. You just really bad mouthing the whole thing. And was like, well, you don't have nobody with even degrees that's able to talk on the subject, and kept, pushing it down and down. So I wrote a little comment in there and told him that, you're wrong. I don't see it that way. He sent me an invite to be on the show for last night, but I didn't see it till it was too late. But I will be on Moorish World TV to have this conversation. But one thing that I was thinking about is, and I've heard Tahaka say the same thing about be like the Jews. But if the Jews was having a conversation about getting reparations or getting money or moving, doing this, you ain't gonna find other Jews coming out on the main stage and saying, "Hey, you're doing it wrong." Da da da. You're not gonna find that.
Yeah, but well, one of the things that we have to tip our hat to them. You actually do have Jews who deny the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust,
Say
who
what?
say that yeah, yeah, you actually have Jews who deny that the Jewish Holocaust ever occurred. Okay. And that shocks a lot of people. But there's a reason why you have never heard their voices, because they don't allow them near a mic. And I had the privilege of meeting some of them because they actually come up to the when I was a fellow at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. They had programs there where these guys would come up and debate the idea that the Jewish Holocaust was actually a sham. Unless you're deep within, like I was in their center, that's the only way that I knew that these people even existed. You don't hear a peep from them. They shut them out. Okay, they're not getting on any TV. They don't have any followings. They don't have anything like that. So even within them, they have some diversity. They're just not allowed to have a main platform of them working against what the majority of them are saying is in the best of their interest. And so what you're saying is in many ways that, the espousing of that is divisive, and it's not going to get them anywhere. And so they shut that down. So our people, when we come out, and let's be honest, that we're talking about something that is dealing with human rights violations. You're talking about historical issues. You're talking about all of these different factors to the idea of reparations. We need experts, people who have studied for 20, 30, 40 years to be able to navigate that for us. And hopefully we can find some who have our best interest at heart. But to have people who are in many ways novices about this, and they may sound good, they may have a following and what have you, but they're not authorities on this issue. You know, when we talk about the idea of just use the United States and the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, it took darn near every Negro that we know to get that African American Heritage Museum up. The federal government pays every year for the operation of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. They ain't begging for nothing. And they're suffering. And I'm not going to go into if it was valid, how extreme it was, or what have you. But they've been so persuasive with their case that their injury and their suffering that didn't even happen in this nation, they are being compensated for that at a level that Black folk whose suffering undeniably occurred here are being in every way shut out.
Mm. Now, I'm going to have to veer off just a little bit because you just
Uh-oh.
hit me with some information that I just can't let go just like that.
Okay.
So I want to go back to these Jews who say the Holocaust didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are they? Are they saying not 6 million died, only 1 million, less than 1 million?
No,
Saying the
no.
whole thing just didn't happen.
Many of them are saying it was an absolute positive hoax. And one of the guys who came up to and gave his spiel at the Holocaust Memorial Center, he dissected a video,
Mm-hmm.
which was talking about it. It was a documentary that had been done that had footage of what he says didn't happen within Auschwitz, within Dachau, and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And his entire argument was quite simply that one of the centers that was photographed there in that documentary, history indicates that there was no one ever. It was not a concentration camp that was active, that was ever used. So why do you have that included in there? And he used the idea of the slippery slope, that if they misled you about this, then what about this? And then what about this? And what about this? They're out there. Believe it or not. You have some Jews who are not pro-Israel, but you
Right.
never hear them. You
Mm-hmm.
never get a chance to hear them on a major platform because their people shut that down, because you are working against, regardless of if you're historically correct or incorrect, you're working against the best interests of the group, of the collective. And they're very serious about how they tell their story. Okay. So they're not going to allow you to come in here and muddy the waters with, even if you do have, like he had facts that
Mm-hmm.
this place right here was never used for the extermination of Jews, Africans, and Gypsies.
So, your opinion, your history, you
Oh,
studied it. Your opinion,
uh,
do the deniers have any actual facts that they're speaking of?
they have facts, but I won't say that they have facts to deny the killing, and this is what has come out of the Jewish Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
They speak about it and they propagate it and they talk about it as if it was only quote unquote Jews who were killed there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not historically correct. You know, we rarely talk about the gypsies who were killed there. We rarely talk about the Africans who were killed.
Right.
So there are some historical facts, but by omitting other people being killed there doesn't necessarily mean that Jews weren't killed there. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What the proponents of the Jewish Holocaust have said is, well, just because we don't talk about those other groups doesn't mean, we're just focused upon our people.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I get it.
So, how do we know 6 million actually died? Where do we get that number from?
They told you.
Who? The Jews told us?
Yeah. That's where the numbers coming from.
So they could be lying that there's not necessarily 6 million. They could be lying.
Yeah.
Damn bastards.
Well, I mean, it's how you tell
Damn bastards.
it's how you tell history. I mean, if you look at
Not fucking
look,
liars, boy.
look at the African Holocaust, you're talking about from the 16th century to today. How many persons of African descent have died? If you're talking to deniers of the African Holocaust, they may say, it was probably about 10 million. But if you're looking at some of our scholars are putting it up at 250 to 350 million. That's what history is a live organism that we utilize to move conversations forward. Okay, so is there a running registry? No, running registry when you really add it all up, these are guesstimates.
The damn lies. That's what these motherfuckers.
I mean,
They just lie. God damn.
What I'll say is that the argument that they advance is a very persuasive, heart-wrenching one, and it's in many ways genius that they have been able to seize their suffering in their place in history better than anyone else, to the point that even their children take pride in that. And it's in many ways their rallying point, the idea, and you've heard their phraseology of never again. If anyone should be saying never again, it should be persons of African descent around the globe. But we can't get beyond what Garvey was talking about when Garvey's talking about who told you were Haitian, who told you were Puerto Rican, who told you were Ghanaian. Person who told you that is a person that is benefiting from you not recognizing that if you break it down to being just a person of African descent, you go automatically from a global minority to the global majority. We still haven't gotten that basic message, and it's once again, it's warfare without bloodshed. It is political persuasion. No one wants to do anything for Black folk. No one wants to allow anything to go through for Black folk. Not even Black elected officials, one could argue, because the racial brand of Black folk has today and historically been one that we are not worthy of even the decency of humanity.
Wow. I want to read some of these comments. We got Brother Roy. Brother Roy says, "Oh, the Jews, the poor Jews, they are laying it on thick right now, and they really are. They bullshit. I'm really surprised that they actually the World Court and the ICC issued these judgments against Israel and Netanyahu and the warrant and all that stuff. That was very surprising. Did you think that you would be able to see that actually took place? That they would even get that far?"
Yeah. I don't have a doubt that they would get that far, but go so far as to go and execute an arrest. That's when you'll get my attention. Me and you can come up with some indictments. We don't have the ability to enforce them, let alone actually go and do it. Go and arrest somebody, and that's what it comes down to. You have to arrest somebody. Otherwise, what have you done? You're just issuing something that it's the equivalent of what I term mental masturbation. It felt good when you did it. You can do it with other people if you want to, but from the beginning to the end, you never had any intention of producing anything.
Now, do you think, because when I saw it, I immediately thought that, of course, they're not going to go get him. They don't have the power to do that. But the next, African leader or the next whatever leader that, they issue something against and say, we sending a warrant for you, them motherfuckers going to be like, fuck you, nigga, I ain't going nowhere. You ain't calling me. If you ain't go get Netanyahu, you ain't coming to get me. You better go somewhere with that bullshit. I mean,
Well,
it's
now wait a minute. Hold on now. You remember 1970s show Different Strokes? Gary Coleman, Todd Bridges. It takes different strokes, for different folks.
mhm,
They'll come in, and that's not a problem. Don't forget that. It's different rules. You know, and if you have the power plus the will, you can do pretty much whatever you want to.
mhm,
What are the Africans going to do? What was done with Muammar Gaddafi,
mhm,
Saddam Hussein?
mhm.
If you look at them as leaders through the eyes of their supporters, okay, it's a different thing.
Mm. Well, I know one thing: if they have any balls, they'll link up together and be prepared to fight whoever comes for them. Um, and looks like Earth Angel says, "Doc, you're upsetting me." So you're getting Earth Angel is warning you. You about to catch it.
Yeah, I see my cable thing keep going out. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that when you look at the historical numbers and what occurred, and
Mm,
you're not talking about a very long period of time.
right.
You're just not. I'm not a Jewish Holocaust denier. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I was a fellow with them, but at the exact same time, I understand what it is that they do, and they
Mm-hmm.
tell a hell of a persuasive story. You
Mm-hmm.
go on up in there, and damn, they make you want to put a yarmulke on top of your head before you done.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah, they would
and
have to
and
do
my
some pretty impressive stuff for that shit. And I don't think they
listen,
got that kind of.
look,
I don't think they got that
yeah,
kind of pull.
I'm telling you, when you go up in there, they're gonna the way the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum was set up when I was there. When
Mm-hmm.
visitors came in, they handed them a passport. Okay, and that passport was of a person who had died during the Jewish Holocaust, and you in many ways followed that person's life and traced their footsteps. It's very emotional for people. Um, People are crying. People are, you know what I'm saying? They're bawling.
Mm-hmm.
And in many ways, when you look at that and you combine that with what I would argue, dignity is not the proper word, but they're not necessarily doing anything to damage their racial image. They kind of stay out the way. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, what they don't want you to see, you will never see. Okay. Our people are different. You go to YouTube right now, you'll find black folk damaging the image, and not only are we damaging our own racial brand and racial image to the point that outsiders look at us skeptically and with a daunting look, but our own people begin to get tired of that. How many times can we see the same foolishness
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again? And if it wears on us, Lord knows what the rest of the world is already leaning against us is looking
Mm-hmm.
at. We have not done a very good job of being persuasive in regards to needing racial justice and reparations. Really think about what the average American would think, regardless of their race or ethnicity. What would black folk do if you gave each one of us $500,000 in reparations?
No, they'll go buy what they need. That's what they go do.
No,
They go buy what
no,
they need.
no. I want you to talk about this from not from your lens, from the lens of the average white American. What would they say to that if you gave black folk $500,000? What would they go do? Would
What go buy drugs, go buy guns, go buy liquor.
go get a
That kind of.
Cadillac?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's how we're viewed, and that idea of character assassination. racial caricatures ties directly into how the world looks at you. And that's certainly a political issue because you're looked at by outsiders and often by your very own as a chump, as Malcolm would call you. You know, you're the world's chump. You know, immigrant groups come in here and they come into your community and they have that very offensive term when they call us liquid money because money flaws straight out of our hands into their hands. And those are all political issues.
Well, I think we're definitely, there was a news story in Chicago about the immigrants coming into the community, and some of our people said, well, it's going to be World War III here, because soon as one of the illegals do something to one of ours, or one of ours do something to one of theirs, then that's going to be the combustion that is needed, and it's going to be blood flowing.
Yeah, but I mean, but see, my thing is that them people ain't got nothing really. You know what I'm saying? Why you fighting them? You get what I'm saying? Go
Well,
fight the ones that are perpetrating these issues on you on a daily basis.
I
That's
think
who you need to be with.
I think it's a twofold, because when you have the point where you have these illegals and they come into your community and do, I'm not saying all of them commit crime, but the ones that have been doing that with the gangs that they coming in. I mean, even fighting the police, they come in with this mindset of I'm here and I'm taking and you ain't gonna do shit about it. That's when they come with that mindset. And I think when they come with that mindset, it has to be met with, now I'm about to whoop your ass. Now I'm about to show you exactly what it is that you're looking for. We have to meet that mindset with what they're looking for. We got to, because if we don't, we're going to be the forever pushover people that you can just do what the fuck you want to, and it'll never be anything. Only thing they're going to do is cry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with anything that you just said. But what I'm also saying is that although you're fighting on that front, also fight the ones that are legislatively, politically, economically exploiting our people. We have to fight everybody on every single front. And if you're not working to control your own local community, you can forget about having good standing in the state, let alone the nation. We got to focus upon these little colonies, which are our communities. We need to be running, especially when you're the numerical majority. Okay. You're not going to find a Jewish community or an Italian community where black folk are a minority, but they're the ones making the decisions about what's taught in schools, what's going to happen within the city. That has to be the mindset. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about this idea of politics being war without bloodshed. You should be making the decisions of what's poured into your children, and forget all of this idea about, well, everybody deserves to have a voice. They don't listen to your voice when they're the numerical majority. So why are you so tender-hearted and kind-hearted? If they don't like the way things are being run, you should tell them, like they tell us, go back to wherever you came from. Go over there where your people run things. Put your children in those schools. Start your business over there. Patronize over there, because over here, this is what we're going to be doing. But unfortunately, it's become far too common for us to have black elected officials, and they get up in there and seemingly act a fool. If they have absolutely, positively no sense whatsoever. And try to profit and steal from the people who actually elected them, black folk.
Definitely. And I do want to correct something that I said that Maya just pointed out, that the first crime was coming illegally. That was the first crime that they committed, and that is true. They did come here illegally and expecting to be made legal. overnight or however they thought that it should go. And that's a definite problem. When we're looking at um, the political foolishness that we just saw with the MTG, I think her name is, and the black girl and the Mexican girl, their little three triangle going back and forth with
Beach,
the words.
what it was it? Beach blonde, bad built, butch
Yeah,
body.
yeah, yeah. And that got played so much like she won the fight. She brung it home for the home team. And I'm like, nigga, what? What do we get from that? What do we get from that? We didn't.
A moment,
Our enemies didn't
a
get nothing.
um, momentary rush that is the equivalent and is as significant as a text message from a cell phone.
Mm-mm-mm.
Same
And
equivalent.
and it's very disrespectful to I saw Roland Martin and they had her even on CNN. Oh, you did a really good thing. You did a really good thing, and was sitting back like she really didn't do shit. That's really
Well,
amounted
and
to
you know,
anything.
but the thing that is doubly offensive is the fact that this sister is a attorney with like 20 years of experience.
Exactly.
And you look at her intelligence, you look at her all the things she's capable of doing. And the thing that caught y'all attention, the thing that brought her renown was a petty, offhanded, quick-witted slap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's this desire to be entertained, this titillation that
Mm-hmm.
does Black America in. I mean, we have songs already that have mixed in what it is that she said.
Exactly. Exactly.
Silliness, silliness. There comes a time where you should want to no longer be silly, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, you know.
And Doc, she went out and she said she got that phrase. Um, what do you call it when you get it and somebody can't use it without paying
Copyrighted,
you? Copyright.
copyrighted,
Yeah, she went out
trademarked.
and got a trademark and all that stuff. And she's like, yeah, we're gonna put it on T-shirts. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna help Biden get in office. All this. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, nigga, what? And you
Well,
have the nerve to present that to us like you're really doing something, like that really meant something. And it's played up like, ooh, wow. But in reality, that ain't shit. They don't send no money to no district. They don't put no food on no black table. They don't do anything.
I mean, the thing is that if you're able to market that and you're able to sell it, and it is used to produce campaign dollars for candidates that are advancing the Black agenda, we have to support that. We have to at least acknowledge that. But that's not what happens. It never happens. And that's, it's once again, it's the silliness of being a Blackness, of being what's passing as political um, warfare. It is a poor state. We're in a bad state when you have a situation where it's the athletes that have mic struck, put up in front of them to say something, and whatever they're saying. I mean, you look at what's his name, Shannon Sharp, the things that
Mm-hmm.
he's and the way people just hang on everything that's said on that show and things like it's entertainment. It's I used to not how can I put this? I used to not really believe that Black folk were that silly minded that they could sit and be distracted the way. But now, keeping them entertained and distracted, it is the bane of our existence right about now. We're out here playing, and come on, what more can you say? We're out here playing.
I think, like Maya has said, that the black chick is clueless and she's not B1, and she's definitely not. And even those idiots that, the one YouTube channel guy, the defiant lawyer, bullshit niggas clueless, damn Roland Martin, of course, that roly poly fat bitch, he don't know what the fuck he talking about, and it is really just it puts you to the mind that you like, see, I'm gonna have to slap the shit out you for you to understand that blackness means business. We'll have to literally smack the taste out your goddamn mouth for you to understand that we really mean business.
Hmm.
It's enough of feeding our people bullshit. It's
Yeah,
enough of
yeah.
helping to dumb our people down politically, and these idiots should know better. They should know better. But yet they play the fool and getting what out of it? What the fuck are you really getting? To sell your people the fuck out? What are you really getting? What are you really sustaining yourself and your family and your future generations off of? What really? When we're in a pivotal situation, and it's just not that it's like enough is enough, and damn it, you better know it's enough because we're at a critical situation, and you want to talk this bullshit. We at a critical situation, and you want to give us some song and trick, some pony and dance show, and say you working what's on the best interest of our people. When the reality is, nigga, you fucking lying. You ain't doing nothing for the best interest of our people. And it's unfortunate that the majority of our people don't understand the dangers of having these clowns and buffoons up sitting here trying to make decisions for your benefit, because they're really not making no decision for your benefit, but they're supposed to represent you because you sent them
Hmm.
there. It's really crazy. But Brother Roy is right. He says at this point we must start with our own. Too many of us will go against the grain. Too many, way too many. That's why I say, we need to really slap the taste out their damn mouth so they understand that it's a price that you will have to pay when you do something that is not in the best interest of our people. It is better for you to sit your black ass back at home and resign that seat so somebody else can get there that's going to do what they say they're going to do, what we're going to be about. I think when we're thinking politics, we have to start there first. What's your thoughts on that, Doc?
Well, the thing is that I understand the worth and utility in what you're thinking about addressing a Roland Martin, addressing a Umar Johnson, addressing many of these public charlatans, these pseudo intellectuals. I get that, but I think that this is kind of how I'm wired. I think that the better course of action is building our own. You build it, and you show and prove what it is that you're doing, proof of concept, and you keep on going. I don't really see the need to siphon off energy, intellectual, physical, what have you, for people who are not really worth your time, not really um, want to be receptive to anything that you're going to say to them or about them. I think that you just go about you busily and you hurriedly you build your own. Period. Nothing else should even really matter beyond. Oh yeah, this is our thing. This is B1. This is the Panthers. This is whatever it is that and this is what we do. Now you compare what it is that we do and the results that we have to them. Proof of concept. Because what we're doing right now and what we're looking at far too often is what Dr. John Henry Clark referred to as Hollywood revolutions. He said, lights, camera, action, and a Negro starts to speak. And white folk will take that and they will propagate it. And because it's the message that's seen the most, it's the one that most people are going to gravitate towards. Um, Very similar to what we were just talking about when we talked about the invisibility of persons of Jewish descent who denied the Jewish Holocaust. They're there, but you'll never hear their voice. We're here, but you may never hear our voice because they're going to seize what Martin has said. They're going to seize what Umar has said. Umar's latest thing, sisters forever, snow bunnies never. Yeah, it's a funny line and what have you, but it's got to mean more than just that. This has got to be more than just entertainment if we're talking about building a nation. And one of the problems is that building is not sexy. It's not exciting. Okay. Going and getting registered to vote may not be sexy, may not be exciting, but it's your way of having some form of a political voice, number one. And it's also your way of, within this existing representative democracy, it's our way of taking over the local school board, the mayor's office, city council, versus what has historically been done, which is quite simply allow them to elect who they want to. Then you show up and you scream and holler outside of what is the equivalent of a soundproof room about y'all know y'all ain't right. Y'all know y'all ain't right. Well, get politically involved at every stage. Know who's on the board of education, who's on the school board, who's the governor, who's your congressman. Do you know who your assemblyman is? The vast majority of people have no idea.
It's I was talking to a friend of mine about this recent votes and what I did. When it was time to go to the poll, shit, on some of them damn things, I wrote my own damn name in there,
Yeah.
and I wrote my children's
And
name in there.
what's wrong with that?
Exactly. So we have to see these things totally fucking different. Totally fucking different. Don't
Yes.
look at it like this is the no right. And look at after I wrote my children names in those for judge and this and that and
Mhm.
that, and I call them, hey, your name was written in. You got to vote tonight for such and such office. You
Yeah.
got to vote to be judge. You
Yeah.
got to vote to do this. You got to vote to do that. Because we have to understand the power of putting in who we say. It's something that I want you to continue turn over in your mind, that these people out here that they say your options are not your options. They're not your
Mhm.
only options. You're not forced to just vote their name in there, because our names will be on these ballots. So I want you to get used to seeing our names on there. I want you to begin the process of empowering yourself.
Yes.
Empowering yourself. We have to define what we want. The power to define is the greatest ability that we have, and we have to begin to use it. We
Yes.
have to begin to use it.
Yes. I mean, the thing is that, we can have all these gripe sessions and things like that within the community, but who knows the path to getting your name officially on that ballot?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of if it's going to be Republican, Democrat, Independent, Black Party, B1, whatever it's going to be. What's that process?
Mm-hmm.
And with these devices that people have, it take you less than 15 seconds to find out.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
those are, and that's sort of, the idea of being proactive
Mm-hmm.
versus being reactive in addressing people who have no power anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you build your own party, you build your own thing, right? Because that's what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and they're running candidates and they're running
Mm-hmm.
campaigns and this and that. One of the things that talking about politics that's constantly sticking in my craw is the how lax our people have been in regards to addressing and confronting and putting our issues on Front Street. When you go back and you look at Al Sharpton's presidential run, we all know
Mm-hmm.
Al's not going to win,
Right.
but his presence there is probably going to provoke them and prod them towards having to address Black America. When they have these, when was the last time our people who need to be at every political forum that they're having, when's the last time you saw masses of Black folks show up to a political debate, a forum, and say, so what are you going to do for Black America? That needs to be a question that is put in, and I'm gonna just say it in any and every Democratic candidate's face, regardless of what they look like. So why should I vote for you?
Mm-hmm.
Why should Black folk vote for you? And the thing
Mm-hmm.
is that if you're not present, you're not going to be able to answer the question. If you're not being involved in the political process, you're not going to be able to even ask the question. Get involved, study, versus the idea of sitting back and just letting it come at you. I think about Brother Malcolm and
Mm-hmm.
how Malcolm was legendary for being so on top of the political world and political platforms and things like that, and reading voraciously and thinking and things like that. That's what we need,
Mm-hmm.
and we need every segment of Black America to be in that mindset of, yeah, let's get out here and let's get it. Let's run our own candidates. Let's
Mm-hmm.
do this, let's do that. And to damn if we're gonna split the vote, okay. And I can already hear, well, y'all gonna split the vote and you gonna allow the Republicans to get in there. Well, you know what? We had this package of votes and we're willing to give it to the Democratic Party. But what are they willing to do for us to get it? That has to be your political strategy.
Mm. And so Maya said that word on the curb, nobody showed up for Cornell's rally.
Cornel
Um,
West?
yes. Hmm. I don't know where it was supposed. Where was his rally supposed to be at? And then Earth Angel says, "Why is it when Black people show up as a group, we are provoked to violence by others?" Um, and that's a good question. I think one, because they don't want us there. I think that will be the first part of it.
I mean,
Um,
just as we talk about when you whoop enough ass, they saying the exact same thing. When they whoop enough ass, your Black ass won't come down here no more.
mm, mm, mm. We definitely. I want to see. I want to look that up real quick and see, because if not even the cracker showed up for Cornell's um, rally, that really says something. Black people not showing up, yeah, because Cornell West don't really speak to us, to him and his cracker wife, so
That
that's
brother, that
understandable.
brother's hard to listen to, boy.
Yeah, and every white. I don't think he hasn't met a white person yet that he ain't called his brother. So.
Yeah, he's hard.
Uh,
He's hard. He can be very hard to listen to. There was someone who said, "Yeah, I can't vibe with that brother. He sits up for 2 hours and quotes white people." You
mhm.
know, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but Trump had a rally in the Bronx and had a full show out. You
In the
know,
Bronx,
yeah, in the Bronx, he had a full show out. Yes, he did. They came on out, and that's very, very interesting.
yeah. I
I'm
mean, it's as wild as the Bronx can be. You get what I'm saying? Why as violent as you was in Vietnam, and you come back here and meek as a lamb, as violent as
Mhm.
y'all are Friday and Saturday night, really any night up in the Bronx. But when he show up, y'all on y'all best behavior.
I wanted to read something from Mao Zedong. And Mao Zedong was over China. Now, he was a communist, and the communists definitely, no, I can't say that. I can say the the Americans don't like the communism. They don't like the communists in this. Now, but Doc, you can correct me when I go astray.
The capitalist.
Communism, communism is supposed to provide everything that you need. It's supposed to be like a community that take care of itself. Nobody owns anything. The community owns everything, and to each person is their need.
from
Am I
from from
correct?
from each according to their own abilities, and to each according to his own needs. Whatever you can give society, society will accept.
Mhm.
Okay. And whatever you need to live a dignified life, society will provide that to you.
Mm, mm, mm. So now the West hates communism because is it just purely based on that is because their system is capitalism, which is not what communism is about. Is that the only reason that the two clash?
Well, I mean, you have to really think that capitalists are predicated upon turning a profit by any means necessary. And the best way to do that is to exploit workers. It's just what it is. So you have a fundamental difference of opinion there. One group of individuals is looking at the world and its resources as being a huge pot that everybody will be able to pull from according to what their needs are, versus the West and really capitalists in general. They're looking at it as a some of them should be able to take as much out of that pot as they want to, and the hell with anybody else. When you look like at a figure like Karl Marx, you have to really, really, really understand that what they're talking about is a worker's paradise. Every worker will be able to get what it is that that worker needs to live a dignified life. And probably the best way to look at it, and it's one of the things that bothers capitalists, and it's kind of my question that I ask to people, to my students, and anybody that I'm lecturing to: do you agree with a minimum wage? And they'll all say, yeah, yeah, yeah. There needs to be, a minimum wage. Well, do you agree with a maximum wage? And that's when they say, oh, no, 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 no. What do you mean a maximum wage? That after a certain level, the money that you're making needs to be recirculated to raise those at the bottom up so that they're got a decent living. Capitalists don't believe that. And communism, in many ways, you're talking about a dictatorship where one man is going to be telling the rest of the nation what it is they can and they cannot do. And that goes
Now,
against American freedom.
is the because the problem with the wages is because of inflation, the cost of things
Mhm.
outseating the price that you bring home, the money that you bring home.
Yeah, same
Now,
thing is happening here now.
is there a way, which I doubt, but just is there a way in capitalism to check the prices that go up so that they don't go up, so that what you're bringing in still would be good?
I mean, companies can absorb um, rising wages of workers without raising the price of goods. It just means quite simply that their profit margin is going to go down drastically. That's what that is. There's make no mistake about it. You know, you look at a place, company like Microsoft, you look at Amazon, you look at some of these major companies, they can absorb losses. They just choose not to because they need to pay their shareholders. You know, they want to protect against their stock being devalued and what have you. But make no mistake about it, they're making money hand over fist, and it's one of the it's the principal question of what was facing Harry Hopkins and Franklin Delano Roosevelt during the Great Depression. The question is quite simply this: would a John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, with some of these mega millionaires, are they willing to absorb a loss for a short period of time to keep their workforce working, or are they going to shutter the doors the moment that they start losing money? They're going to shutter the doors, and it's the reason why FDR, um, during the New Deal, you got to remember that the tax rate for the highest bracket of Americans was 93%, and they still made money. That's how inequitable things were during that time. But what FDR is going to do is he's going to take those humongous taxes, and he's going to create widowers benefits, an orphan fund, uh, social security, so that if you lose your job, you can still continue to participate in the American economy. Because any economist will tell you the thing that grinds an economy to a halt is when money is no longer circulating. So FDR came up with a way to keep money circulating, and capitalists don't agree with that. It's the reason why they don't want to pay taxes right now. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said this. He said the rich could get richer and the poor could be taken care of if the rich would agree to become richer at a slower pace. And now they're not willing to do that. They want all the money and they want it right now.
Now I want to go to. I'm gonna share a screen and look at this. What Miles Say Tongue said, and get your opinion on it, Doc.
My argument is the Panthers weren't black; they were red. They were over there meeting with Mao.
So on here it says, war is the continuation of politics. In this sense, war is politics, and war itself is a political action. Since ancient times, there has never been a war that did not have a political character. However, war has its own particular characteristics, and in this sense, it cannot be equated with politics in general. War is the continuation of politics by other means. When politics develop to a certain stage beyond which it cannot proceed by the usual means, war breaks out to sweep the obstacles from the way. When the obstacles is removed and our political aim attained, the war will stop. Nevertheless, if the obstacle is not completely swept away, the war will have to continue until the aim is fully accomplished. It can therefore be said that politics is war without bloodshed, while war is politics with bloodshed.
Yeah.
So when I read that and understanding that that was our plight, that you can only get so far with your political aims,
Hmm.
but to get your proper freedom that you honestly are looking for is going to be through war. It's not going to be through politics, because the
Well, I
political
mean,
battle will only get you just a certain bit. It'll only get
yeah,
you so far.
that's what I was going to say. I mean, if you're looking for slight alterations to the existing system, you're looking at reform. You can get that through politics. Okay, you can change a school board. You can capture the mayor's office. However, you're not going to be able to totally restructure a economic system through political negotiation. You're going to have to go through war. So the major things, and once you've exhausted negotiation, and both sides are saying, "Listen, we've given enough. We're done." That's when war is necessary. And when you're talking about black folk, um, politics ain't gonna get us nowhere because, quite simply, the obstacles in front of us are not only major, but they're also stubborn, and they have folks standing on the top of them that are saying, "Make us move, make us change." They're not going to. They're unwilling to. Their idea and their view is that anything that is beneficial to black folk is number one subpar and unfair to them and their future and their children's future. That's not something that you can reason with. Not at all. That's when war is necessary because you've reached the end of reasonable political negotiation. And these people are not going to negotiate with you because they don't respect you. They don't think you have any power to make them do anything. So fuck you. Make me do it.
Now, Doc, I don't know if you remember this, but I want to recollect your mind, your memory. You remember the not fucking around crew, right?
Yeah. Where they shot themselves or something.
Yeah,
When them
yeah.
shot themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Right.
remember them.
Now, they were in Louisville, and they got to a situation, they showed up with their guns and they did their little marching in formation.
Hmm.
And they marched to a certain spot. I'm not sure where it is, but they marched to this spot.
Hmm.
Then the white boys marched right behind them. So you had the not fucking around crew this way. Then you had the white boys with their guns right behind them.
Hmm.
Now the Jam Master Jay, the commander, he decided to move his troops out. So he marched the black folks away so that they go away. To me, that was a showdown where them white folks said, "All right, nigga, you been talking that shit now. We about to show you."
Hmm.
And Jam Master Jay said, "We're gonna go the other route and we just gonna walk the fuck away."
Hmm.
At that point, I'm thinking, when them white boys came up and showed up, then he should have told his troops, get ready to aim and get ready to fire. Because you're meeting this troop, this other your opponents, you done called
The
them out.
adversary.
You called them out, they showed up. Ain't no fucking running. This is what you asked for. But
Hmm.
you took off. You said we left. I didn't want to fight. We left. You can't, in my thinking, you can't do that. You called for it, you gotta bring it. It's here to your face now. You can't run away. You can't run away. What's do you think that, because when I'm looking at this and I'm looking at politics at the same time,
Hmm.
because you called for the battle, you're there now. There ain't no turning and running.
Yeah, but see, that's why when you call for such a battle, it has to be worthy of your death.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Versus being out here being a loudmouth and
Mhm.
just talking rhetoric. Let's say that you shot and you killed all of the white boys, all the adversary, you killed all of them.
Mhm.
What did you win?
Mhm.
Beyond maintaining your life and the fleeting satisfaction. Yeah, we showed them, this. You haven't changed the system, and that's
Right.
what Mao is talking about. Okay, you negotiate politically until that's exhausted. Okay. And then you say, okay, this is an obstacle that is worthy of us dying over. This is an issue, so we're gonna deal with that. But you don't when you have a situation like this right here, there's a difference between uh dying in a petty skirmish or battle and losing the war versus finding something that you stand up for, finding something that is worthy of dying for, and you make your stand right there. But you can't sell these wolf tickets behind small inconsequent. Yeah, we showing up and blah. That's not revolutionary.
Exactly.
Revolutionary is developing a plan and executing a plan to bring down the entire system. And marching through Louisville, okay, y'all march through Louisville. You march through the Fifth Ward of Houston. You march through the Third Ward of Houston. That's not revolutionary. That's a show. That's titillation. That's silliness. And if anything, it shows how little you understand about the enemy that you're facing. Because regardless of if you kill them or not, you haven't changed the system at all. And in many ways, what you've done is surrender in another way, because now you're going to prison forever. That's not revolutionary.
Exactly. And this is one of the biggest things that I was trying to make our people to understand, that this ain't no goddamn show and tell like you was in kindergarten. This ain't no fucking show and tell. You just stop with the bullshit.
Yes.
Because you're gonna miss the actual thing, because you're getting caught up in what the optics is, but the optics ain't nothing but a fucking joke. It ain't for real. So you're wasting your time, giving your life energy, giving your information, letting the enemy know every damn thing you got in your home that's legal and illegal. So when they come scoop you up, they already know what they're gonna be facing. It doesn't make sense. Now we're going to get into this Convention of the States. We're going to look into this because this is a danger that is 100% real, and that none of these political heads, none of them that were out there talking about, hey, she said this to the cracker and you ain't talked about this. You ain't talked about this. And the elected black officials that know the shit going on, you ain't talk about this either. And that's a problem. That's a real problem. Maya says the leader of the NFIC was too cocky for me. He loved to be online talking and showing off. I never believed in him. Yeah, he was a big joke. But we're gonna go look at their YouTube channel here. And these white folks, they not playing. They are not playing. And if you thought that this shit was just a joke, I'm here to tell you, they ain't joking. Then when they was marching with their tiki torches saying, you will not replace us, or Jews will not replace us, niggas will not replace us, these goddamn foreigners will not replace us, they were doing that on the front street and doing this on the back street, and moving around state to state to get in their political objectives squared away. Now, Doc, there's been this back and forth over what the federal government can do and what the states can do. And, they call it states' rights. Now, states' rights has also been used as a dog whistle to say we're gonna fuck these niggas up and keep them in their check, you know. But it's even more than just that. Can you just break down for us, you know, the difference between when they talking states' rights and the states don't, the federal government don't have trump over the states' rights?
Yeah, I mean, it's an old argument, and many people would argue that it's actually those who want to deny the centrality of chattel slavery as being the cause of the U.S. Civil War. Many of them argue that it was actually a battle over states' rights. Where does the federal government's rights begin and end in regards to a state? When I lecture about this very issue, I'm often talking about schools. You know, and I'll ask you this question: who runs the schools, the state or the federal government?
Uh, the state should.
Ah, see, people say that the state runs schools, um, but the United States Constitution has something called the Supremacy Clause. The Supremacy Clause says that any time that the state comes into conflict with the federal government will reign supreme because of the quote unquote Supremacy Clause. But states are allowed to run the schools. It's sort of the same thing if you live at home with your parents and you're an adult, your parents allow you to live an adult life until the way you live your adult life conflicts with what your parents feel. Okay. If you really think that you're an adult and you can do what you want to do inside your parents' house, wait until they have date night. You know that they come home about 9:30 and date night, and when they come through the door, you be up on top of your lover, banging away in the living room.
Mhm.
What do you think is going to be their reaction? They're going to put you out that house. They're going to
Mhm.
change. They're going to let you know who runs things. That's states' rights versus federal law in a nutshell. Okay, what the states are saying is quite simply that there are some areas that the federal government should not be able to reach or control, that they should be in charge of what happens with their states. Um, Within their state, think back to Abraham Lincoln when they're trying to figure out if Kansas and Nebraska will be slave or free. Lincoln kicks that can down the road and quite simply says, let the states decide. So what they're talking about right now is arranging a situation where the federal government does not have overreaching powers of the states, and the states are able to run their affairs in the same way that southern states were allowed to run their affairs after the 1876 election of Rutherford B. Hayes. That
Mhm.
states' rights, home rule, that the people of this state should have more to say about how it's run than the federal government. The problem with that is quite simply you're setting yourself up for 50 independent countries living on the North American continent because the federal government will have very little, if any, say in how they conduct their business, which should be frightening for Black folk throughout the entire nation.
So, Doc, so are you saying that if Texas wanted to have um, slavery, or if Texas wanted to, okay, here's a live right now. Texas wants to kick the immigrants out, but the federal
Hmm.
government say you don't have that authority to do. That's the federal
Hmm.
government power.
Hmm.
Under states' rights, Abbott can kick their ass the fuck out without saying the federal government don't have nothing to say about it.
Certainly,
Is that correct?
certainly, certainly. And if you take that one step further, Abbott could put them out and could put Black folk back in slavery because that's what the people of Texas want. The majority of the people of Texas who elected me.
And so the federal government would be powerless to stop it.
Yes, yes. If states are allowed to be their own autonomous entity, yes, you wouldn't be able to stop it.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow. this this is a real present danger. Now, when they were before the Civil Rights Voting Act, right, that Johnson and them signed, and blacks in the South was not voting because the South wouldn't let them vote. Um, in the North, the federal government knew about it, but they chose to ignore it. Would I be presenting that properly?
I mean, I don't think it's being fair to say that they ignored it. Um, but what could they possibly do when you have at the local and state level people violating um, blacks' right to access the vote? You're going to need to create an act that says that we can punish you for what it is that you're doing. Okay. What Mayad is bringing up, and I want to address what Mayad is saying here. She's talking about Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. I want to say 1956 or 57 when they integrated Central High School. What happened was the governor, I want to say it was Faubus, that was in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he used his troops, the National Guard, to block those students from going in to Central High School.
Mm.
Um, Eisenhower does something that is in many ways very, very humbling and really fits what it is that we're talking about right now with federal rights trumping states' rights. What Eisenhower did was Eisenhower federalized the National Guard, the very troops that Faubus had used to keep those students out. Eisenhower took control of those troops and told them turn around and walk their ass in. That's the power of the federal government over states. That's the power of a president over a governor. What we're talking about now with states being autonomous, the president would have been number one, he wouldn't have been able to federalize the National Guard. And number two, he would have been powerless in regards to actually doing something to Faubus or to aiding these black students who were just trying to go to school.
Mm. So, Doc, and it seems to me from listening to what you're saying, it's almost as if the federal government is powerless to stop what's going on right now.
I'm not going to say that they're powerless to stop what's going on right now. I think that they've fallen asleep at the wheel in regards to what it is that is going on right now. Um, it'll be interesting to see if it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be the outcome of this, because in many ways, what you're talking about is a violation of even the quote unquote Pledge of Allegiance, that these states are indivisible. Okay, they are united. Will this measure be honored by the federal government? I don't know the answer to that because they could go through all of this and the U.S. Supreme Court or whoever would be in charge of making this decision could very well say, but the supremacy clause still rules. The United States Constitution still rules, and they may very well prod these states, and I know Texas would be one of the first that would accept such an offer to secede from the Union, to no longer be a part of the United States of America. So this will be very interesting because I don't understand how they think they're going to be able to trump the U.S. Constitution, how they're going to be able to trump the supremacy clause.
So, Doc, let me ask you this now. because when we talk secession, and when Barack Obama was president, all these states were talking about, I'm ready to succeed, I'm ready to succeed, I'm getting the hell out of here, and we ain't
Mhm.
being a part of the union no more.
Mhm.
Um, what could he done? What if they just say, if they said, okay, fuck it, you don't control us no more? What did he have as his what could he have done to stop it?
Send a U.S. military down there.
And do you think that the U.S. military would, like, just take Texas for instance, you think that they would engage the Texas National Guard if the National Guard was called out? You think that they would honestly fight, or you think the National Guard will submit? What could really, in this time that we're in, what could really have happened?
They would have not only engaged them, you would have had troops within Texas um, fighting against the state of Texas as well. The question that would have to be answered is kind of the question that was answered with in Arkansas with the Little Rock Nine.
Mm-hmm.
Would the National Guard go against the ultimate orders of the President of the United States? I don't believe they would. Okay. I don't believe that the National Guard would, number one, for even for purposes of personal longevity, I don't believe that the National Guard would pick up arms against the U.S. military because they would know what that means, which would be an outright slaughter. And if you weren't killed, you'd be given if not a death sentence, a life sentence. So the idea of seceding and secession is one of the kind of maverick thoughts that they have that's bannered about even to this day. I'll tell you on a daily basis, I see one of these big old monster trucks down here with the word Texas secede on it.
Mm.
They're just talking. They're not going to secede. If they were going to secede, they would have done it long ago. Okay, especially with this rascal they got as governor right now.
Mm-hmm.
They would secede. But no, they're not going to secede. There's not a easier or convenient path to secession.
Now, okay, we're gonna play a few of these short videos on here just so the people can get their, wet their whistle. Then we're gonna get in some of the writings that they can go now. But let me ask you real quick, Doc, because they're trying to redo the Constitution. You said that there's that supremacy clause in there, and that supremacy clause outrules whatever the fuck they want to do because that is in there. Now, in this fucking set Article 5 to redo it, do they have the power to remove that supremacy clause? We can't hear you.
I would say yes, but you're talking about dismantling the entire nation. Um, I would say yes, though, that there is a path, there is a way of redoing the U.S. Constitution. It's and we've seen the U.S. Constitution amended to no end, so it can be changed, it can be altered. Now, the path to doing that, the methods of doing that, that's a whole nother question as to who needs to be involved, what percentage of states need to be involved, how this whole thing can, would, and should go down. Um, but it can be done. But I don't see this fractured Republican Party being capable of getting their self together to be able to achieve that. Now, if the felon is somehow able to recapture the Oval Office,
Mm-hmm.
all bets are off. There's no telling what they'll do.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Wow. Maya talks about, remember Andrew Jackson threatened to send the military to South Carolina when they refused to pay their tariffs. They paid it, but were first to succeed. So the South Carolina owed the federal government tariffs,
Mhm.
and Andrew Jackson had to send the military?
To get
Mm.
that money. Yeah.
Mm.
And you have to really think about, especially today, um, in the history of mankind, history of mankind, there hasn't been a military that could defeat the United States military as it exists right now. Rome couldn't have done it. The Athenians couldn't have done it. The Greeks couldn't have done it. The ability to destroy that the military presently has is unfathomable. And one has to wonder who would be crazy enough to go up against that. Okay. Because it would mean certain destruction. Okay. If push came to shove, and you constantly hear this statement. And the statement is, some people would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Faced with the prospect of, and this is kind of the JFK Cuban crisis, Cuban Missile Crisis, Cuban Missile Crisis issue. Kennedy said that if atomic weapons made it to the island of Cuba, the world was over, meaning he was going to blow up the entire Earth. And during the height of the nuclear arms race, the U.S. and the USSR had the ability, independent of each other, to destroy the Earth like 200 times over. So one has to wonder if things got that major and the U.S. fought against itself again, um, it would not be a traditional war of boots on the ground. You're talking about F-35s. You're talking about Raptors being utilized to, um, it would be a technological war that would be devastating to the globe, not just the United States, but to the globe. Because there's a part of me that believes that this American white man has been in power as the superpower for so long that he doesn't even want to have another superpower like Japan or China sitting at the table with him, having the ability to say anything. I believe they would end the world especially before they would allow those people to best them and to have a political or economically superior position over them. They would end this world.
Mm. Mm. Wow. So then Jackson was president since I think 18 in the 1800s, 1820s or something like that. So this democracy or this union has been on shaky grounds ever since the 1800s.
Since the 1700s, you got to remember that this is a grand experiment. This has never been done before. Okay, where every citizen is supposed to have a voice. Every region is going to, regardless of how little a population they have, they're going to have political representation. I mean, look at the difference between AOC coming out of the Bronx,
Mm-hmm.
and Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out of somewhere in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Such different populations being able to have political representation. That's never been done before. And so when you have that type of situation, you have to wonder, and this has been one of the constant themes, and I agree with my eye. One of the constant themes that we've had in this nation is quite simply, should we be federalist, meaning having a strong central federal government that can control things, that can dictate what it is that is going, or should we have a more state-centered situation where states are able to do what is best for them, even if it conflicts with what the majority of Americans feel is going to be better for the nation. Think about it from this standpoint. um, Trump, able to win, he defeated Hillary Clinton and lost the popular vote. More people voted for Clinton than they did for Trump, and he still won. And that's because of North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho, because they have electoral votes too. They have a voice in how this thing is going to be settled. So this nation has always been in drastic need of a renewal of democracy. That's what rebellion is for. That's what revolution is for. It causes the nation to look in at itself and to quite simply say, listen, okay, let's recalibrate. Let's recalibrate. And if we can't recalibrate, this thing right here ain't going away. Okay. So we have to reset, and we have to figure out, how do we restructure things so that everybody is at least somewhat satisfied with what it is that we're doing as a nation. So the ultimate question comes down to, is who has the final say. Right now, the federal government has the final say. And what they're trying to say is, no, what we're going to do is we're going to rearrange the United States Constitution where the states now have greater say than the federal government. That's frightening when you're talking about a nation that is supposed to be united and indivisible. Because now Abbott can do whatever the hell he want to do if you allow that to occur. Okay, it's the greatest experiment in the history of mankind, this nation, and it's imperfect and it doesn't always work. That's the reason why you had a situation where you had many southern states break away, because they felt as if they were the victims of totalitarianism. Okay, Lonnie Guinier's book. She was a Clinton appointee. She has this brilliant book titled "The Tyranny of the Majority," which is a warning about what happens when a majority populace, like white folk, get in charge. They can do whatever it is that they want to do, and all the other groups are going to have to act in their own best interest. And many of them ended up, and that's how the Irish, the Polish, the Russians, the Italians became white, because it was in their own best interest to become white, to go under that umbrella of whiteness, because they weren't white before World War I. And it was in the best interest of white folk, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, to bring these new immigrants, these mongrels, in here to become white, because it aided them in having votes and political power and economic power. And of course, the rallying point for whiteness has always been fear and hatred of black folk. Is what Malcolm was talking about when he says the first word that new immigrants learn when they come through Ellis Island is nigger.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow, I had a question in my mind that I wanted to ask you about something you said, and I done lost it after you done dropped that one on me. Um, Maya says, do you think Southern states will try to repeal Amendments 13 through 15?
I don't think that they're going to try to repeal amendments. I think that what they will do is simply do what they've always done, especially when you're dealing with the the 15th Amendment. They'll just create mechanisms and structures that will make it so difficult for people that they don't want to vote, like forcing you to have a an official state ID, driver's license or state ID to cast a vote. You know, the response to that, and this is one of my problems with the left, is you know what their game is. You know what they're going to do. And if you know that they're going to be sticklers about state IDs, 2 years out, you need to start a drive to give people state IDs. No, you say bring back the black codes. I don't think the black codes ever went anywhere. The 14th Amendment, when you look at it, um, out of all the amendments that you listed, I think the 14th Amendment would probably be the one that is most fragile because it is providing citizenship to anyone who is born on American soil, meaning North American continent, or a military base. Um, and white folk view a lot of these Hispanic women who are coming here having babies. They have a term for these babies. They call them anchor babies because it gives them citizenship. I could see them doing away with that. That if you came here illegal and you produced a child, that neither you nor the child will be American citizens. I could see that amendment being changed. The 13th Amendment, um, the abolishment of slavery, they're not going to undo that. It's solely for the fact that it benefits them in the long run. That the 13th Amendment, many people just read the abolishing of slavery part, but it also goes forward and it says that if you're convicted of a crime, you can be re enslaved. And many of our people, it's why they criminalize the idea of blackness. They re enslaved our people in sharecropping, convict lease system, um, you know, chain gang.
What did Trump say he would change? Maya said Trump would change that. What did Trump say he would change? Mm. So we're going to play about the birth in the USA. Okay. We're going to take a look at a few of their videos that they have here. Let's watch this one first.
That we can do nothing. And I will not tolerate that we can do nothing. And every time you bring it to me, I will mercilessly crush it. Here are the two options. Use the freedom you have to do something, or you're going to have to fight for the freedom you have. There's nothing in between. There is no in between. Nothing in between. When it comes to a convention of states, I would much rather fight it out of who is truly the most committed and the most organized than trying to take on a greater scale their media and all the messaging machine and everything else. And I love this idea that the Convention of States is so radical. What's it Article 5 of? Do you guys know?
Constitution.
The U.S. Constitution. Who wrote that?
Founding Fathers.
Founding Fathers did. So who wrote the Convention of States? There's a mechanism here that we don't have to keep doing this. We can create something that just completely goes around these people. I have no tolerance, none, no patience, none, for there's nothing we can do. Elections don't matter, nothing matters. Then lock and load. You don't really believe in your own futility. Cultures of losing have to be confronted head on. Losing is a disease. We're infected with it. There's too much money to be made from it. Makes us feel comfortable. It lines up with our pessimistic eschatology, which we then use as an excuse to not do a damn thing. Is this not America? What the hell, man? Get over ourselves. Win. Get off your ass and win. Stop being losers. We're winners. Act like it.
Doc, is that a dog whistle?
I don't think it's a dog whistle. I look at that as a bullhorn for their people. And the ironic thing is, I may have something wrong with my head, but I find nothing to disagree with in regards to what it is that he said. It's just that my ultimate goal structure conflicts with what I know his ultimate goal structure is. That's our message that he just used, to get up and fight, do something, battle. It's just that we're not battling for the re-enslavement of Black folk. What we're battling for is the liberation and salvation of the Black nation. Let's battle it out. My problem is that our people behave as if we're not at war. And you can clearly hear what he's saying. He's saying, listen, we're at war. And we need to get in here and we need to battle these people. You know, we need to win. Don't tell me that voting doesn't matter. Don't tell me that you can. That's our message as well. It's just that we're not agreeing with what it is his ultimate goal is. But no, it's not that ain't no dog whistle. That's straight out. That's straight in your face right there of what he's talking about. Ain't no insinuation there. Ain't no subtleness in that. Okay, that we are here to reclaim and reestablish what is our birthright. And unfortunately for them, we disagree.
And do you see that being their rallying cry that white people will respond well to?
Certainly. I mean, you know, you have to remember that these people have they've had a number done on their minds as well, to the point where they even believe that whiteness is real. That's one thing, but also the idea that, and this is how you get quote unquote white folk to react. Let them, you know, just whisper in their ear, you know, the Guatemalans are coming. You know, my mother, she used to work at a place called Gorman Rupp Pumps, and she had a coworker, a white guy, who befriended my mother. He was a young white guy, and he was going to be a mathematician. He was in school to do something with mathematics. I remember that about him. And he told her, he said, Kathy, you know, I'm glad I worked here because I've learned so much. And he would have little gripes with the job and whatever. And my mother would always say to him, good thing you ain't Black. Because the little gripe that he had was really inconsequential in the world that she lived in. And he said, I'm glad I worked here because, you know, my dad never worked. And he said that he couldn't get a job because they gave all the jobs to Black people. And my mother said, where they at then? Because there were only 2 or 3 Black people working in the office section of Gorman Rupp Pumps. And he said, yeah, I noticed ain't many Black people here. Okay. But he was convinced of that. He was raised in a home that taught him that. That was his only reality. These people's only reality is a position of lack. They're fearful, they're frightened that someone is, to use their verbiage, somebody's going to replace them. Replace them from what? I have not a clue, because they ain't got nothing. But that's their fear, that they're going to be replaced. And that fear for them is truly palpable. It's truly one that is driving many of them insane.
Now, Doc, I just remembered the question that I was going to ask you, because you talked about the tyranny of the majority. The founding fathers, if I'm remembering correctly, did not want a situation of the maturity of the majority, tyranny of the majority. They did not
Very
want
true.
that.
Very true.
So
No,
what was the thing that was supposed to prevent that?
equal representation politically. It's the reason why you have a U.S. Senate. Every state gets two of them.
Mhm.
Okay, so a place like New York or New York City cannot have tyrannical rule over Iowa. Cannot have tyrannical rule over Minnesota. Each of you get two. Yet at the exact same time, they didn't want the states that were most populated in areas that had the most people to have their voices muted, to almost be under a reverse tyrannical rule of the minority. That's why you have the House that is predicated upon the idea of population, that states that have more people get more representatives in that chamber of the House. So they're trying to balance the two. And you have to remember that the founding fathers, when they're creating and they're carving out this nation, black folk are here, but the vast majority of us are enslaved. They're not considering us and talking about us. Their idea of diversity, when they're talking about it, are those who are going to be in the cities versus those who are going to be in the rural agricultural realm. So that's what they're talking about. And you have to remember also that their motivation in the creation of this nation is to get separation from a king. And so they're doing everything that they can in their power to not have a king. Okay. So they're going to have a president who is going to be elected by the people, staying away from the king model. So you're correct. They don't want a tyrannical rule because they just came out, they just escaped from one. So why would they create a system that would welcome one? So they're going to create all of these different entities. You're going to have an executive, legislative, and a judicial branch. The system of checks and balances. Everything should work as an ecosystem where one system keeps all the others from dominating them. No system, no area is stronger than the other. It's the reason why no sitting American president has ever been removed. That would throw off the system of checks and balances.
Mm. Wow. Now, if the the crackers they get their way, then that would throw out that system. That system would not exist.
They would be the system would still exist in that you would still have a Senate and a House. Okay.
Hmm.
But what they are saying is we don't want any interference from the federal government in regards to how we handle our affairs within our state. Um, it's very similar, it's almost identical to what happens in the fallout from the election of 1876, um, where Southern states agree to allow Rutherford B. Hayes to become president in exchange for home rule. They want the Union troops to be removed. They don't want to be living under any military districts, um, any oversight. That moment is what Rayford Logan, the great historian out of Howard University, referred to as the nadir for Black folk, the lowest of the low. Logan said that 1876, 1877 going forward is the worst time in the history of America to be Black. And when you really think about that statement,
Hmm.
he's saying that this is worse than slavery. And so that's what we would be looking at because now you have these Southern governors, be it Abbott, DeSantis, whoever, able to do whatever it is within their states, and federal initiatives like the Voting Rights Act are are inapplicable to what it is that they're doing. They're going to run their states the way that they want to. And what that's going to ultimately end up being is that you're going to have southern states that become concentration camps for people who don't agree with the governor, because the governor is going to tell them what to teach in school. He's going to handle the economics. He's going to be a one-stop shop in regards to that. And with the ability to curtail who can and who cannot vote without federal oversight, he can set up a system that allows him to be governor forever.
Wow. Wow. This is a very sobering lesson, and
they're not playing. And the thing is, this is the hardest thing for me, because it's not out in public, because it's not being talked about. There's no sensationalism around it. There's no sexiness around it. There's nothing for a reactionary people like our people to react to. So it just slides through. We're not going down to the meetings. We're not reading the newspaper reports. We're not doing any of that. What we're doing is we're waiting on Shah to get shot and killed, and then we're going to run out and we're going to have a protest. Well, yeah, have your protest. That ain't going to stop this. Because this thing right here, it's been going on for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it puts you in the mindset of, hell, were the black elected officials, the Mexican elected officials, were they somewhere taking a piss or something when this was happening? Because they ain't spoke about it.
They sure haven't.
We're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
A dearth of information. And this is how we started it. A lack of understanding of political science.
Exactly.
But this is 24/7, 365.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, even where you buy your fried chicken is a political decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's all political. And until we have that understanding, we in trouble. You acting a fool at the mall and getting arrested is a political decision, because now you got something on your record. You thought it was cute for you to do that, to cuss that officer out. But now you got something on your record, which is going to give those who are hiring managers a very good reason of why not to hire your black ass.
Mm-mm.
Having bad credit is a political decision. Come on.
Doc, can you break down the part where you said buying your chicken is a political decision? Break that down so they understand why and how that's a political decision.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you do is a political decision. When I use the analogy of where you buy your fried chicken, I mean, are you trying to circulate the dollar within the black community? Okay. Or are you going to just sit here and you going over to KFC? You know the KFC ain't owned by no black folk. Okay. Every single moment that you're going to cast a dollar, that's a political decision, because those people they're putting that money in a bag, and they're taking that bag and they're putting it in a bank in a community that ain't gonna dare give you a loan. Okay. And at best, they may hire one or two of y'all to work for minimum wage, but they're taking the profit up out of there. And as we all know, that politics runs upon dollars. And you wonder why you don't have any money and your community don't have any money to give to a young brother, a young sister who's trying to create a political campaign. Well, part of the reason is, quite simply, you bought your chicken over there with the white folk. And it was bland. You know it was bland.
Wow. You know, we need people inside this thing so we know exactly what's what. You know, so there's a little join button. We need some people to join up, so we'll have that information of what's going on the inside of this. It's just that simple. We need to know what's what. So we need to
Yeah.
send a few people on the inside to get that
Yeah, I mean,
information.
this is why it's important to vote for people who look at the world the way that you do, and also understand that there's a certain decorum that people who are elected have to adhere to, a certain dress, a certain verse, or a certain everything. Um, they may not look like they're your friends or your allies, but you got to give them a chance to show you who they are. Okay, and I say that from the standpoint of fight them at every turn. Get people fight. Get registered. Go and vote. And at the same time that you're being registered, start a black organization, a black initiative on your own. Just because you voted doesn't absolve you from being a community organizer. Just because you're a community organizer doesn't absolve you from getting registered to vote. Because we need to come up with concrete plans, such as how do we take over the school board, and once we take it over, what are we going to do with it? Okay, how do we control the education that's given to our children in our communities? How do we do that? Those are the things we need to be dealing with instead of being so reactionary. You got to bolster and get ready for this, for this war, because the war is going on and they're motivated by keeping you
Yeah.
down. Okay, and you gotta ask yourself, what are our people motivated about? It seems like we're motivated by pop cultural, what Booker T. Washington referred to as the ornamental gewgaws of life.
Mhm.
That's what's motivating us. Bleach, bleach blonde, bad built butch body.
Exactly.
But you don't know who your congressperson is. You don't know what the deadline is to be registered to vote in the presidential, state, and local elections. But you can sit there, oh yeah, she told him, blah blah blah. That's silly mindedness. And we have to, in every way that you can imagine, get beyond being so silly minded. It is to our detriment.
Mhm.
And I guess the last thing that I would want to say is love black folk. Love us enough that you do everything in your power to support us. And if there's any way for you to spend dollars with other black folk, please do it. If there's any way for you to, if you receive black dollars, if there's any way for you to help black folk. I don't care if it's buying some T-shirts for a local black little league baseball team. Please do it. And
Mhm.
the shameless plug: if you want to support black authors, buy my book, Foolish Floyd. Okay.
Definitely. And I am putting my email in the chat because we will be sending out a um, a letter flyer letting you know what programs got coming out, what we're doing, this, that, and the other. So if you want to be on that mailing list, take my email and shoot me an email to let me know that you want to be on the emailing list, and you'll get the messages and everything that we have coming. So don't forget to sign up on the email list. I want to quote what Earth Angel said: evil begets evil. So the state of this world is a political decision. We got work to do. We got work to do. We need people to go here and join up because we need intelligence. We need information of what's going on. As you can see, I've already subscribed to their channel, and I'm gonna send a little thing to join up because we need the intelligence to know what they're doing. What's this? What's that? We got
Yeah.
to have information. We got to have information. We are at war. All hands on deck. This is what we got to do. This is what it is. As Doc said earlier, it ain't sexy, it ain't pretty. It is what it is. And we got to make it happen. We got to make it happen. They've been doing this for years. And those that's elected, that's in office, they ain't opened their goddamn mouth. They ain't said shit about it. Nothing. But this thing is rolling. It is rolling. And so, I wouldn't even known shit about it if it wasn't. I was at a political meeting and the white boy said something about it. I wouldn't even fucking known about it. We got to get it. We got to get it. The name of Doc's book is Foolish Floyd. Ain't that right, Doc? That's the name of the new book, Foolish Floyd.
Yeah, The Life and Times of an African American Contrarian. Volume 2 should be out within 2 weeks. So we're rolling. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Second volume.
All right. We are at our time for tonight. I want y'all to let me show you this, because there's a lot more to just this, I wanted to get into tonight, but we'll probably get into another time, where you can go to their website. You can go to their website and read different things. All you got to do is type in Convention of the States. They show you the pictures of all the people who endorse this thing that they're doing. You see Ron DeSantis there. You see Vic Ramaswamy there. Sean Hannity, Rick Santorum, Doc's governor, Abbott, Rand Paul, Sarah Palin, Ben Shapiro, Marco Rubio, Jim DeMint, Huckabee, Governor Mike Huckabee, even Ben Carson, Governor Bobby DeJoy, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. And none of these people have your or my interests in their hearts. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, his goddamn Uncle Tom niggas. But the movement is moving. It is moving, and we got to make sure that we understand what's going on. They got a lot of things to read it, see about it. They list out. This thing I wanted to be able to get in this, but this is long. This is going to take a 2-hour thing just by itself to dismantle all of what they're putting in here and to break it down. And I am telling you, these motherfuckers are serious. They are serious. They talking about even redoing the Supreme Court, making it, I think up to 9 justices. They write this shit, is all written out. So, you got to take time to read and understand, but it's all in writing, and they got it. It's very thorough. They did some work to get this shit done. They ain't fucking around. They understand that their future for their children is at stake, and they want to make some serious changes. So the question has to be, are you ready? Do our children, the future of our children, does it matter to you that you're really going to get involved, and let's make some serious changes and do what we can do? Because the alarm bell should be ringing. Ding, 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 ding. Stop with that bullshit, and let's get on the real.
Yep.
Let's get on the real. Doc, your closing comments?
Man, missed y'all last week. Happy to be here. Love being here, and peace and love.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Definitely. I'm glad we're back. We'll be back again on Sunday. And get ready. And get ready. And when I'm on Taharka Bay's program, I'll let everybody know But make sure you definitely sign up for the email list, because we will be doing a lot of things. We got to get busy. We got work to get done. We ain't got time for the foolishness or the BS. We got to make it happen. So as we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first, today, tomorrow, and forever. Love you, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. You better get the message and get it straight.
You're going to need some bridge work. It's simple as that.
Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.